Welcome, friends, to our penultimate Unholy October episode. Sit down and make yourself comfortable. Let me tell you a more recent case of demonic possession that left a psychiatrist quite disturbed. The possession
of Julia.
A more recent case of demonic possession occurred in 2008 and was reported in 2012 by board-certified psychiatrist and associate professor of clinical psychiatry at New York Medical College, Dr. Richard E. Gallagher. The strange story revolves around a woman known only as Julia, who originally came forth begging her church to help her with what she claimed was a spiritual possession, and the church went to ask for help from the psychiatric community. While investigating Julia, Gallagher became convinced that there was more going on than mere mental illness or outright fraud. During their conversations, Julia would suddenly respond in voices far different from her own and say things not in character for her, such as obscene language and hateful rants and threats, and showed extreme repulsion to religious items, which seemed to have disturbed the psychiatrist a great deal. Gallagher would later say of these occurrences, "Periodically, in our presence, Julia would go into a trance state of a recurring nature. Mentally troubled individuals often disassociate, but Julia's trances were accompanied by an unusual phenomenon. Out of her mouth would come various threats, taunts, and scatological language. Phrases like, 'Leave her alone, you idiot. She's ours.' 'Leave, you imbecile priest,' or just 'leave.' The tone of this voice differed markedly from Julia's own, and it varied, sometimes sounding guttural and vaguely masculine, at other points high-pitched. Most of her comments during these trances, or at the subsequent exorcisms, displayed a marked contempt for anything religious or sacred. In addition to this, these strange voices allegedly would even intrude on phone conversations the psychiatrist was having with colleagues, defying all rational reason. During the actual exorcism performed on Julia, the room purportedly became almost unbearably hot, and the normally scientific and rational Gallagher was also startled to personally witness items fly off shelves and Julia actually levitating. Julia also demonstrated personal knowledge of people in her vicinity and spoke in languages other than her own, such as Spanish and Latin. Holy water was said to affect her in violent ways, but normal water did not, even when there was no way for her to know which was which. After every one of these episodes, Julia would wake from her trance with no recollection of what had transpired, which fascinated the psychiatrist. She was eventually cleared of her seemingly demonic presence, but her account is a rare case of a professional scientist being convinced that the events were real. We have come to the end of this quite curious case of possession, one that left the psychiatric community stumped. Tune in and listen to our last episode this Monday. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember to bless your house and say a little prayer before bed, and be careful of the ones after your soul.